Hello and welcome to this episode of the SNEED-CAST. I'm Quentin. This is Ken. Recently, Ken, you found a brewery that's about 2 miles away, I'd say, as the crow flies.
That's about right. It's literally in between my house and work.
Awesome.
So imagine how I found that brewery.
So, and that place is called Mad Llama Brewery. It's actually close to a place where I grew up playing baseball at Rothwood Baseball Complex.
I forgot you had mentioned, that baseball spot that's right basically across the street from them is right there too. So.
Yeah, so you've actually done some talking with them. The two guys who you met are Stephen and Arian. They are the owners and the brewers. And so how did you get to know them, and how did you set this all up,
Great. Good questions to kind of get things going. It was a great interview we had with them earlier. We're really grateful for them giving us some time to come by the brewery and record some of their activities. But I think they've been open a little over a year now, right? Because we're releasing this right before their 1 year anniversary. They're going to celebrate. So I've been following them. I think I saw them at one point. I was kind of joking, but seriously, just driving home from work, I saw a sign, brewery coming and this new development. And then just kind of stayed close, followed them on Facebook a little bit because they weren't open yet. And it was really cool. Stephen does a great job handling their Facebook account, just showing behind the scenes pictures of their growth and then how they were building everything. And then when they eventually launched last summer, started stopping by and getting to know them a little bit. I love breweries in general. I'm a beer lover, as is pretty well established at this point. You as well, Quentin. So it's really neat just having that cool little local brewery right there. And I feel like they've done just a great job of just growing their community and their local following from a very grassroots, not spending any money on marketing. Most of their marketing is just Stephen on Instagram and Facebook. So I think their story is one that's really going to connect with our audience. I think we have so many craft brewers that got their start looking a lot like Stephen and Arian. So that's why I thought, finally one day after I got a little liquid courage in me, I was like, hey, Stephen, you're so good at telling this story. How would you feel about us bringing a camera and you sharing it with us? So that's kind of how we got where we are.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a cool story. We went there 2 weeks ago now, and it was really fun to see them and talk to them. They are brothers-in-laws, which is cool.
Yep.
And you'll hear way more about that start here soon. But it's just such a cool story, and the brewery is really cool. It's very efficient, and I believe they actually recently, pretty recently, were doing homebrewing. So you can kind of see it. So it's really, really cool, journey.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to kick off to Ken, where he was there, and he's going to show us the brewery.
Yeah. We'll kick to that. One other thing I wanted to just 2 other points. Like so many of our craft brewers, what I love and I like to highlight for these guys how hardworking they are. They're a 2-man operation basically. And there's still kind of a side hustle for them. I mean, truly, Arian, he's using his PTO once a week to come to the brewery and brew beer, which, that shows that passion and love for beer that I think we see so much throughout the industry and from many of our customers. And then of course, this is Stephen's second business. He's also got a DJ business as well. So that passion, as well as just the dedication, the hard work, I think is really something that's really neat. I forgot to even bring that up during the interview. I just wanted to highlight that. And what was really neat was right before we left, or when we were packing up, if you remember, there was a local farmer had just pulled up with a trailer. I can't remember if we managed to get any pictures, but really cool that we didn't talk to them about it, but he was telling us that they donate or they give away all their leftover grain and everything that's normally waste from the brewing process. They give it to local farmers here in the area to use to feed their cattle and livestock. So it's a little thing from a sustainability point of view, but just using everything and trying to integrate with the community is just another thing I wanted to highlight. But like Quentin said, we'll cut right to the clip and let you guys hear from Stephen and Arian themselves and let them tell their story. All right, here we are at Mad Llama Brewing in Spring, Texas. We're getting ready to go inside, and we're going to sit down and have a conversation with Stephen and Arian and hear their story. All right, Stephen and Arian. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're here at Mad Llama with the founders and co-owners of Mad Llama Brewery here in Spring, Texas. and you guys have humbled us with a little bit of your time. You guys are busy brewing, so if we have some interruptions, Arian's already been checking periodically here, and Stephen's been over here measuring different ingredients and whatnot. So we're definitely grateful for your time, guys, and can't wait to kind of share your story with everybody. So
thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So we'll kind of get started, like always, just start at the beginning, right? So if you guys could tell me a little bit about, I know I've been here a few times. I happen to live within walking distance. So, but I've already heard a little bit about this for the sake of the crowd, like kind of, I guess, like how you guys started as homebrewers. I guess we could start there. Is that right?
Oh, I think pretty much everybody does.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's pretty typical.
Years ago, yeah.
How long were y'all homebrewing before you started having a conversation about?
Well, I was a really bad homebrewer.
Okay.
And then
isn't that also how they always start?
Then I met Arian, who was a good homebrewer.
Gotcha. And how long were y'all homebrewing together, or like?
Oh, well, so it started out. I was homebrewing for probably like a couple years or so, and then when I married his wife's sister-in-law, which makes us brother-in-laws, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's the family connection too.
Yeah. So we got together. I was doing some brewing, and then we showed up for like some kind of holiday thing, and he said, "I make beer." No way. And then I said, "Come on out, let's try some." And then you
tried each other's beer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And did you like each other's
well,
beer?
I'm
curious now. I really want to know. Like, what was the reaction?
I didn't get a hold of any.
I loved his beer.
I didn't get a hold of any of his.
Oh no.
So then he donated some of his equipment. And that was awesome. Yeah.
Cool. And now, how long ago is that? So we're 2025 now. Is that like 10 years ago, or how far back are we talking?
Close to 20.
20 years ago. Okay, wow. And this brewery started, if I'm like right around like coming out of the pandemic, right? 2020, 21, or when did you guys start?
We started the vision of it in about 17.
Oh, okay. So that far back.
That's when we started looking for property and thinking about, do we really want to do this? And then the pandemic happened.
Delusions of grandeur. It was like, we could do this.
Yeah.
And then years and years and couple false starts.
Right.
And then the pandemic set us back because we're like, no way we can start during COVID.
Especially with a on-premise focus like tap sales. We were just talking a little bit about earlier.
Yeah, I'm surprised a lot of the breweries that did kick off then actually made it through. So good on them.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely. So what were I'm trying to think of I have so many different questions. In terms, let's kind of switch gears a little bit. We talk about home brewing. What were the types of beers y'all were making back then?
I made an amber. That was it.
Just a one-trick pony. And what about you, Arian?
So I think pretty much everybody starts with like an IPA or something like that because
right.
they're pretty easy and everybody loves them.
And they're a little bit, from my
understanding. With that.
They're a little more tolerant, right? Don't they have a little bit?
Yeah,
more,
you can kind of hide more with the
right.
with the hops and stuff. So it's not as like malt forward like
right.
a light beer might be.
Gotcha.
And so so it's easier to hide, but it's easier to kind of
right.
develop the flavors through the hops.
Was there any in terms of I'll talk about the name a little bit too. So you guys started talking about 2017. Did you guys have the name back then, or how far into the process before we started talking about a name? And then what sparked the name?
We knew we were going to call it Mad Llama.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Once
so.
we decided on the brewery.
Yeah, that's probably true. Because we already had a few beers named Mad Llama.
Okay.
Because that was kind of the genesis of it. Me and a bunch of friends coming out of college, we wanted like a domain name, so we got madllama.net.
That's what it was. I remember there was a
and then we
story.
eventually got madllama.com, and but we just used it for like a stupid website,
right.
like emails. But then, as a joke, almost started naming beers after it, and I would send my friends pictures of it. Yeah. I was like, "Look, this one's called Mad Llama Spit. This one's called Super Llama." And
nice.
then once we started brewing together, then it was kind of just became its thing, and we said, "That's the name."
Nice. And then now, I'm curious, those guys, do you still have they been by? Are they here local, or are they college guys? Or are they come by try some of those beers now?
A couple of them are on our mug club, the Llama Legion.
The Llama Legion.
Yeah. So
cool.
a couple of them have gotten into there, and then we do poker night out here as well.
Oh, cool.
So me and a bunch of friends will kind of just take over to the upstairs while Stephen's serving, and everybody's running around.
Real neat. So in terms of, then we get to the pandemic, and then it was after the pandemic that you guys finally found this place, or kind of what does that look like in terms of?
Yeah, maybe a year even after the pandemic had ended, if you want to call it.
What attracted you? Was there anything in particular around, like I've mentioned this before, you guys got that Little League baseball field right around here? Like
I suggested being near the league field because if you look at a map of the area, there really wasn't a brewery anywhere in this area.
It was kind of a Google thing.
Dead zone. And
You just go, boop.
good place for a brewery. Nothing in this area.
Well, hey, you got 99 right there, and all the neighborhoods.
Lots of traffic from the baseballs, and this was within 5 minutes of my house one direction, and 5 minutes his house the other direction.
Plus it also stuck to our vision. We always thought we didn't want to do like the retail kind of style brewery, and we always wanted like the warehouse kind of style.
On-premise.
So,
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well, also you have a very industrial
but more
look.
of an industrial warehousey kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Versus like the storefront retail strip
Yeah.
mall version.
No, I agree.
Right?
I definitely, I think that probably is
So.
kind of what attracted me to it too. You definitely feel like you're
yeah.
actually just hanging out literally inside.
Doesn't
at
look
the
like much
brewery.
from the outside.
No, but I love the way you guys have designed everything, and then like the little like baseball dads, right? Weekend warriors,
that's-
it's perfect. And
Yeah, that was the.
and like I said earlier, I live pretty close in one of these little neighborhoods right here, and I see it constantly. This road that runs right by here.
Oh, I love it when
the amount
traffic
of people
builds
in the
up.
morning and the afternoon that take that shortcut to go from there's a major intersection for those of you not nearby, but there's got to be, I imagine, on Thursday or Friday some people that see your banner, craft beer, peeling off after a day at work.
Yeah, we
or
need to get
something.
like a sign flipper. The
Yeah,
arrow guy that's
like just for
jumping out-
rush
get
hour,
him to jump
Thursday,
out in
Fridays,
traffic and say,
happy
"Go
hour,
ahead."
like get out of traffic, come get a cold beer. No, I love it. What are some of your, along that process, maybe from 2007, but I imagine like where it really started to feel real is when you got the facility, you started putting in all the equipment. What are some of your highlights or memorable moments, on those during that stage before you necessarily were able to open the doors? I don't know if you.
The day we got the loan was when I felt like it was real.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
When we got approved, and we were like, oh my gosh, we have a loan, we have money.
Let's go.
Let's really start.
And now it's time to put
order the
the money
equipment.
where our mouth
Let's
is.
order the equipment. Let's
Yeah.
start buying things and get this one going.
Yeah.
But then but moving into the spot though, there was still a super ton of design we had to do. So we had a lot of back and forth with the building owner about how to build it out because he had his like standard design.
Right.
So we're making all kinds of alterations, and of course that's okay. Well, it's going to cost you this much, or it's going to cost you that much.
Yeah.
And we're like, no way, that's a ripoff. How about less? Okay, less.
And then you got
so-
inspectors and code compliance.
Well,
and
yeah,
all that
then there's
stuff
all that
too
crap
on top, right?
And then that's the next story.
But like from in terms of like, I'm curious, like from like when you finally, I guess, so to speak, got the keys or signed the paperwork for the building to like when you could open the doors. How long does that process take? Like from for you getting everything in, getting the design, getting painted.
How long did it take
Is that
us?
a year-long
Well,
process? Is that
they were building this out due to construction delays and stuff. We were in here doing stuff ourselves while they were doing stuff, even though we didn't have the keys.
Oh, okay. So they let you come in and do some
because we
preliminary
did
work.
all the painting ourselves. We built the bar ourselves. We built the cold room ourselves.
Yeah.
We did a lot of things while they were still framing things out, building the wall, building the upper decks, doing stuff, putting in the lights and that kind of stuff.
And of course, they were optimistic with their schedule.
Yeah.
So they said, we'll have the floor done by October. And then
Come
November,
February.
December. All right, the floor's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. And then, man, it's just there's so much to talk about. Let's talk about like making beers. Now, you said there were three main beers, I guess your core beers that came from the beginning process that have made it all the way through. What are those three beers, or your kind of like your
So
killer
he
beers?
mentioned one.
Definitely Amber.
Yeah.
That was the beer that I started that wasn't very good.
Okay, so I guess you're making it. Has that recipe evolved then? I'm guessing.
12
No, it still
years-
tastes like crap.
12 years.
No way, it's
12
awesome.
years worth
Yeah.
of
Tinkering.
tinkering. In fact, very proud to say that it actually got a bronze medal on Untapped.
Oh, nice.
Which we didn't even know Untapped did medaling until we were notified, hey, you guys got a bunch of medals. And
Oh,
we were
that's
like,
cool.
heck yeah.
And that's that app, right? That,
Yeah,
I
the
got a
social
couple
media
of,
app for,
where you can log
ranking.
all your beers and stuff. So that's pretty cool because that basically means that it's the it's the customers, it's the people's choice, right?
It's
so
the
to speak.
people's
So
choice
you don't
award,
get
yes.
some,
Yeah,
any,
essentially.
there's less politics you'd think involved in
in terms of like judges and things. So that's pretty neat. What about
you, Arian? What are like what? So
the-
Amber. What are the other?
two or three pillar beers, or maybe your favorite?
Yeah,
area?
so I was super digging the IPAs, so I
Yeah.
kept trying to dial those in. So then that's one of the ones that made it on the board, which
Right.
was our Elder Llama.
The Elder,
so,
the
yeah,
double.
the eldest of them all.
Pack that
So yeah,
punch,
so
right?
that was one of the first ones that we've been tuning in over the years for sure. And then after that, we kind of worked our way through like the different styles,
Yeah.
got different style guides, and then followed through on, okay, let's basically do one of every type. And
Right.
then one turned into a couple of every type, 3 of every type, and then just kept building it up from there.
So all of these like these recipes that you guys have worked on over the years, I mean, so you have 11 on tap right now. Trying to think of how to ask this question that I have I'm framing in my head, but like how do you, like, what is that? How long did it take you to build that catalog? Let's start with there. Like, is that something that started in 2017,
20 years?
or like, you know what I mean? Like,
we would say we'd be sitting around at his house and say, oh, you know what sounds kind of good? Let's make this kind of beer.
Yeah.
And then so he'd get online and he'd find
so truly a hobby kind of
a recipe
yeah.
to start
Oh, yeah,
with, and then we'd tinker with the recipe to make changes to the things that we would think would improve the beer.
Yeah.
Well, I say we. I should
Yeah.
say Arian, because
let's
he's
go.
the mastermind when it comes to
Gotcha.
how
Yeah.
to make them all.
The
I
formulas and whatnot.
give him 100% credit for the formulas.
That's very nice of you. It's good partnership too when you can give each other credit like that. One thing I wanted to, so like with that, like again, I keep I'm stumbling over my own questions, but like you talk about making home recipes, right? So those are much smaller.
What are those, like 5-gallon batches? How big are those batches that you guys are making? at
Yeah,
that time?
so the general homebrew recipe is going to be like 5 gallons,
Right.
but then we started escalating from there as well, right?
So what were
we
some of
got
the bigger batches that you did before you got into like the full?
Ultimately, at the house,
capacity?
we had a couple 10-gallon
Okay.
10-gallon systems,
Yeah.
so that we brew up basically 10 gallons at a time, because five gallons would go away pretty quick. But
Right.
with 10 gallons, we keep that on tap, have enough friends coming through, but then also give us enough room to brew lots of beer through it as
Yeah.
well. Because if we started brewing like a barrel at a time, it would just last too long at the house.
Right. And then in terms of like scaling recipes, what was that like? Is that a pretty challenging process going from like a 5-gallon up to these larger?
Batches that y'all are making? Or?
Recipe wise,
It's not necessarily like just one for one as you scale, right? My
For
understanding.
the
or,
most part, it is.
Yeah.
So you have to account for different like efficiency differences between the systems, and then also hop utilization as well. But it's really from that size to this size, and it's actually on the same type of equipment. There wasn't as much of a difference as you
Gotcha.
would think.
Yeah, 'cause that's the nice thing that even when we were brewing up the small level, Arian actually bought a small version of what we're brewing on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, it literally was a 10-gallon system that ran exactly how this runs. It had the controller box that we had, same process of everything. So
Yeah.
we learned how to do this on a super small system before we even thought about doing it on a big system.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah.
So now we just need cranes and stuff to do all the work.
Yeah, you definitely.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get some footage here later.
yeah,
maybe putting that in. That would be a good action shot to get to mix in. So, you mentioned the amber. You got a medal on Untapped. Is that basically kind of is that your #1 seller? What's the most popular beer you guys have? Or?
Depends on what you mean by popular.
Well,
You
I mean,
by
I'm a sales guy, so let's just that's raw data.
So by
like-
popular, as far as like sales, the
Yeah,
light beers,
So
the light beers
okay.
fly off the
It's
shelves.
hot in
So
Houston, and then of course
plus
you get
a lot of the baseball.
Yeah.
Right. I think they come in, they say, I want the light lager.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
all right, we
So
got the
our
beer for
Honey
you.
Llama Lager is
Honey Llama.
probably our best seller.
Yeah.
But recently, about 6 weeks ago, probably a little more than that now, we introduced our hazy, and it is selling like
Yeah,
crazy.
hazy's
This
on
is
fire.
already the third time we've had to brew this beer.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So it's
I'm trying to remember if I've tried that
coming in there
hazy
really
one.
good.
I like the ESB I had last time I was in.
Here and your and the Hellas one.
Oh yeah, the Hellas.
lager,
Yeah, the Hellas
like.
was doing pretty good up until we got the Call Me Blonde,
Yeah.
which is a blonde ale.
Yeah.
And that one kind of sapped some of the
So-
Hellas because they're a real similar
for sure.
style of beer-ish, except the blonde's maybe a little less hoppy.
And honestly, one thing too, like you mentioned that the amber's your favorite, but both like and your Bach and your ambers, I have to compliment you guys. I feel like they're very well balanced in terms of the malty and the
thanks.
hops, because I sometimes like with a lot of ambers and Bachs, they can be very malt heavy and super
sure.
sweet and super like you guys balance it out nicely with
The
the
Bach got
hops
a
in
gold
there.
medal on Untappd.
There you go.
Yeah, we
So-
actually we got like 5 different medals total or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
Kind of switching gears a little bit outside of the beers, let's talk about community building. So that's the biggest part about local breweries, in my opinion, one of my favorite things. And obviously, you guys being my local, a little community brewery. You guys, you
you
found
go.
that like perfect little sweet spot.
Yeah,
as you,
yeah, here.
when you guys first opened last summer, I was here quite a bit. But like, let's talk about like what are you kind of like. What has been your outreach methodology, and how have you gone about building out the messaging and building that the loyal following?
We started with just social media, Instagram and Facebook. It was kind of funny because we barely got beer on the tap wall yet, and me and my dad came here, and the Astros had a day game, and it was like the third or fourth inning of the game, and I said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to post on social media to see if anybody actually wants to come to watch into the game." Within 15 minutes of me posting on social media, the whole bar counter
That's
was
awesome.
full of people. I was like,
is so
"Oh my
cool.
gosh, people are really actually following
Yeah,
us
yeah.
on social media."
That's cool.
So it was kind of,
We had a pretty good following even like
experience.
months before we even opened. We
I
had a
mean, I
pretty
think
good-
I started
we had a pretty
following-
good chunk of people. They were just like, "Oh, all right." So we're
That-
posting a lot of the build-out pics, and
Yeah.
people were like, "Looks awesome, can't wait." So
I might have been one of those people. I definitely think
That's one of the
somehow
things
or
that-
another I saw you guys on Facebook before y'all opened, and I definitely had
sweet,
started
yeah.
following.
That was one of the things that we wanted to, that we felt was really important, both of us, was when we were doing the building process, we wanted everybody to see it from
Yeah.
the very beginning so they could feel like they were part of it
Exactly.
as
Yeah.
it was growing up. I mean,
100%.
we have footage online of the building just when it's just nothing but studs.
Yeah.
And when it's dirt floor, we have concrete being poured, we have every step through the whole process is cataloged on social media.
That is awesome. No, and I think you're onto something there. I think in terms of like brand building, and I'm gonna put on my marketing hat, and but like that, if you could build a brand loyalty to where like where consumers not only enjoy your product, which you guys got that down, you got a great beer, great product, customer speaking here, but then be tied into where they have that they're rooting for you. Because
yeah.
that's a
Oh,
whole nother
definitely.
level where it's like, not only do I like that product, I know that when I buy this product, I'm supporting Stephen and Arian, and I like these guys, and I've been following their success. And so that's you guys have really, I feel like when I'm in here and I see some of the regular faces that are in here and
yeah,
talking,
yeah.
and maybe I don't recognize them, but it's obvious that you guys have a rapport with them. I mean, it's palpable. You can,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
can
And the
feel
people
that
who
in
come
here.
in, we almost do like idea outsourcing to them too, because everybody comes in with great ideas.
You know, I've seen that. Aaron said, well, what should I get? And then everybody
Dude,
starts
ask, "What
popping
beer should
on.
we
Oh, you
do
should try
next?"
that. What do you like? Do you like this or that?
What do you think? What if we do this beer? No, don't do that beer. Do this beer. All right.
And I think both of you do this really well too. I've seen you both in action in terms of like every time somebody asks that question, you're always, well, it depends. Like, what do you like? I mean, like they're all great beers, but
Yeah.
you got to give me a little bit more to go off
sure.
of here.
That's
I
the
can't
joke.
like, but it's spot on, right? Because if you give somebody that is maybe more of a mainstream beer drinker, and you come in and then you're like, oh, here, have my double IPA. That's probably gonna their palate's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
tuned
Oh, yeah,
to that
definitely,
for
yeah, yeah.
sure. So, but over that time, so you built, that was that first post, and then just gradually it's been word of mouth. What are some of the if you guys
We've
do?
done events. We did an event at a car dealership.
Whoa, okay.
Where,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so where people got to come out and see us there. We've done golf tournaments.
Okay.
We've done open houses for other buildings.
Yeah.
Like our next door neighbor, Hayden Fitness, we did their open house.
Set the stage.
Set the stage, we did their open house. So we're willing to come out and do things with other members of the community as well. We're also a member of the Northwest Chamber of Commerce. We were part of their golf tournament.
Okay.
We were just in another golf tournament a couple weeks ago
Gotcha.
for a school that's being built.
So you guys set up you bring like the kegerator and bring out a keg and then
yeah. That's the way. I'll also give props to a lot of the other breweries around town, because while we were getting set up and getting ready, we went to pretty much every brewery within 20 miles of here, and interviewed the owners, interviewed the staff, and like trying to get the idea for different ideas they had, different
Right, what works, what doesn't work.
What they did too is then they would mention us to their
awesome.
people, because everybody in the brewery community is
Yeah.
like super pumped about promoting each other.
Well-
So nobody ever says, don't go there.
Yeah.
They
I tell
say,
you-
go there, they're awesome, let's go. And
Yeah.
then when they come here, we say, well, go back to them.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. That's always been one of my favorite things about, going back even before this company, when I was in the industry, and I've been working with breweries going back probably 10 years now, but that was one of the first things I realized coming into craft brewing was like the amount of you just getting good, like the amount of referrals you can get.
Oh, yeah. So
because
ton of word of mouth.
everybody
It's
is
awesome.
just like helping each. Oh, I need this equipment or I need that equipment, or then you end up.
Oh, well,
with
then just
a
helping each other.
Yes,
as well.
exactly.
So
or like,
everyone's
oh, hey,
more
like
than willing to.
we've outgrown this equipment. Does anybody want a good deal on this? Because like, you know, and then being able to buy. So like that community building within the craft brew space is so
heck yeah.
beautiful, honestly. And like what I love about it, because it's like the mantra, in my mind at least, or my observation is it's like we're all the little guys against the big guys. You know, it's all like you guys, like we're all friendly competitors.
Yeah.
Like you're all very proud about your beers.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's no sharing of recipes, but in terms of like helping each other succeed, like it's always like we're chipping away at AB InBev's market share. Right?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we could say forget them.
And I think that's why there was a lot of pushback with what Karbach did. When Karbach sold to AB InBev, they had built up a really strong following, and I think they had a short-term. Now, I don't fault them for
Like a
what they did.
switchover, but yeah.
Wave 9-figure check in front of my face, and I'm saying
I
yes
think
5 times. Yeah.
Anybody is unrealistic if they think that if that kind of money was waved in your
Yeah.
face, you wouldn't give it a very, very, very strong thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think you'd be a fool not to at least consider it, right? So let's talk about like like you said some events you've done out in the community building. It reminds me a lot of when I worked at one of my early jobs in my 20s working at Carrabba's in Clear Lake, and how that partner would go out and do events in the community, the churches and the schools, and they really built up. He had a really strong following, even though it was a Carrabba's chain restaurant. Like, and so you guys remind me a lot of that.
We've done the bazaar for some churches.
Yeah.
We've done different brew fests.
Yeah.
Arian recently did Bloom Fest out in New Magnolia. Last week he did a festival at Brew 30. We've done that one
Yeah.
before. We did a Stout Fest at Excalibur. So I mean,
Yeah.
the,
I saw them advertise. I followed. That's over in Old House Spring.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Excalibur. Yep. But what about like here on site, on premises? I know you guys have started doing some weekly events. Like we got
let's
we got
go.
the team coming out tomorrow. What do you guys do on Thursday nights?
our calendar starts with Wednesday.
Okay.
On Wednesday we have Tostonios, which is one of our food trucks. They do steak night for us.
Okay.
So we have a steak night, we have a ladies' night, and we have bingo, which
Okay.
is all put into one thing for Wednesday night.
Okay.
Then Thursdays we have happy hour from 4 to 6. That rolls into trivia, which runs from 6:30 to 8:30. Then Friday we have our standard hours, 4 to
Right.
9, and then Saturday and Sunday we open it at 12, and we close at 9 on Saturday and close at 6 on Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. And then
But the ladies' night, that's another good example of people being pumped about it,
Right.
because that was just
no, I remember you guys had
two
a good
ladies,
start.
two ladies, or two women. They were just coming out. One of them used to be a server. One of them was serving at different places, and they basically ganged up on us and said, "Hey, what if we do the serving?"
Huh.
Because for us, Wednesday is our brew day.
Right.
Is a brew day, so there's no way
just real
there's no
quick-
way we could open.
Time out real quick. Just so everybody, we haven't really talked about this. You guys are a 2-man operation.
Oh,
We
yeah.
haven't even hit on that
Oh,
yet. So
yeah.
that's not like we're not just talking to the
You're
owners
looking
here.
at it.
We're talking the brewer, the janitor,
No,
the
he's the
bartender.
janitor.
You know, the marketing guy, the social,
The only
like
thing-
it's all of
only
it.
thing
He's
he
our
does
social
around here
media
is create
influencer.
beer.
Create
Yeah.
beer. Okay.
I
gotcha.
do everything else.
There you go.
I sit there and think.
Yeah, that's well, sometimes you gotta have some clarity breaks. But yeah, so I just wanted to put that out. So anyway, when they're
Oh, yeah,
asking you
definitely.
to come in on Wednesdays,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you're like,
so,
well, we're
so it's good
brewing.
at it. So we're like, okay, let's do it. And so then they take over on Wednesdays. So that's where the ladies' nights come from.
Yeah.
And then we're like, all right. But then also turn it into kind of a discount hour as
Yeah.
well. But then and then also get some bingo going on
Yeah.
and steak night. So it turned into a pretty cool,
No, I think
pretty
that's
cool little extra day in there.
One of our regulars said he'd run the bingo, so he's running the bingo.
Oh wow.
And
But I think that speaks a lot to that community building when you have
yeah.
when you have regulars that want you to open an extra night, and when you say, well, like it's beyond our bandwidth, we just can't.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, well, then we'll just come in here and we'll serve the
That's
beer.
how-
for you.
that's
That
how we
is
started
that's
getting-
beautiful.
That's how we started getting trivia on Thursday, which was our first ad.
Yeah.
Was because one of our regulars said, "Hey, do you guys do trivia?" And we were like, "We just don't have time to add in
Right.
trivia also because we can't run the bar and run trivia at the same time."
Yeah.
He said, "What if I run trivia for you?"
Yeah.
So
That's
voila,
neat. That's
trivia
awesome.
became part of it.
Yeah, no, and the trivia I think is when I saw that here recently that you guys are doing that. Like I said, we're gonna get a group together and we'll get some footage
Actively
that'll be mixed in
brewing.
here, and maybe we'll get some. I got a few competitive sales guys that like to talk a little shit, so we're gonna get them in here. Maybe I'm hoping I get enough
yeah.
people to get 2 groups, and we get a little fun-spirited competition in here tomorrow, and so we'll get some footage of that too. I love a good trivia night. So
y'all have fun with it, and Ryan does an amazing job. He's very charismatic, and his style is awesome.
hopefully a few good dad jokes or puns in there, and then I'm set. I'm golden.
There you go.
So. And then one other thing I think that's pretty sleek. I want to get a chance to give a shout out. You mentioned it earlier. I don't know if Quentin, if you can get a zoom in. We got the Llama Legion over here.
Yeah,
Maybe
let's
we'll get
go
a
Mug Club.
Talk to us about what the Mug Club is, and I mean, you guys sold that out fairly quickly. I remember when I was coming here in the beginning. I was considering one, and at my current pace back then, I probably should have done it, but nonetheless, tell us a little bit about like the Llama Legion. I know you guys do some special like exclusive VIP events, or
The Llama Legion was designed to be a cash influx for a new business.
All right, that's very frank of you to share that. So that's a beautiful.
I mean, most breweries have some sort of mug club,
right?
And we knew that the mug club, the way we were designing it, was going to be inexpensive, and it was going to be something that people would think about. But we wanted to give them something that we felt was
Feel some part of ownership in it, and participation in the process.
So what our mug club was, it had a flat price. It was a lifetime membership. You never were hounded for money again after that fact. It gave you your own personal mug that hangs on the wall. It has your name on it. It gives you a bigger pour versus our standard pours. It gives you a discount of merchandise. And then one of the nice things we also do for our Llama Legion is 4 times a year, basically once a quarter-ish, we have a party that we either are early release a beer that we haven't released yet, or we brew up something special that we're just serving for that.
Like a small batch or something.
And they are invited to where the Llama Legion can come out, and it's an open bar party for the Legion members. They're allowed to bring a guest.
Okay.
We cater it out somehow.
Yeah.
So it's more of a bonding type thing between everybody.
I love it.
And something for us to thank them for believing in us and being willing to donate.
Being part of it, yeah.
Is there a story behind? Does the bell mean something? I feel like the bell is for.
So the bell it has 2 usages.
Okay.
The first one is every time we sold a glass, it was no.
Okay.
Let's go.
Oh, you sold a new mug member.
New Llama Legion member. Yeah. And then we've been trying to build it up as kind of one of our guys has a story about the sailors coming back into port, and then they hit the bar or hit the brewery and then ring the bell, round on me.
Oh, okay.
And so we're trying to build it up as kind of a way for people that really get pumped about the beer to go ring the bell and maybe buy a round for the house. When we first kicked it off,
when I came in here early the other day, it was just me and one other guy, because I think we were the first guys here. So I would have gladly bought a round for the house that day. I don't know, on those busy Saturdays, I don't know if I'm... this is cool. I think we've touched on a lot of everything. So like, kind of what I wanted to close with, but we'll talk about like, a little bit first, like, so you guys are very focused just on premise. That's basically, seems like very much your priority. Do you guys foresee in the near future, any kind of expanding out into, bars or pubs? I know we talked a little bit about that before, but I'd love to kind of get y'all's perspective on that to share with kind of the audience.
Definitely not anytime in the near future.
Yeah.
Possibly sometime down the line, but it's down the line.
Yeah. So there's a lot of bars that are pumped about getting us on tap.
Oh, so you've had requests?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We had requests before we even had beer.
Oh, nice.
But we always like debate whether we should try and get this distribution, because if we give them some, then they'll want more.
Right.
And so we're like, maybe we'll.
It's
we'll
like once you give them that first keg, you they're going to come for another one.
Plus,
and
we imagine more people come out of the woodwork. So once you start giving out kegs, it might be hard to say no to other people.
Right.
And so we've been kind of dragging our feet on that, but eventually we'll break the seal, because not only is it it's good for them, but also good for us, because for potentially to get our name out there as well.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's like an advertising
It's
thing.
definitely something we plan on doing at some point. It's just not in the cards immediately.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit. So that and then we have a pretty big. We talked about events. We're basically, you guys just rounded a pretty big milestone. You guys, have we already hit the 1 year, or we're just about to hit the 1 year?
Today is actually 11 months.
Oh, so 11 months on the day today.
Today.
So we're recording today. We'll drop this about, I believe, a week or a few days before their anniversary. But tell us a little bit about how you guys are going to celebrate the first year.
June 21st, we're having a big party. We're having 2 different food trucks out, at least, possibly more. Really just depends on the feel that we have. We're going to do a bunch of outdoor seating. We're having a giant tent put out. Currently have 2 live bands that are going to play during the day.
All right.
We're going to have multiple brew stations. We'll have beer inside. We'll have another beer station outside of ours. We're also invited another brewery to be part of.
Oh, look at that. That's what we were just talking about. Like, it's not like this is.
Oh yeah,
that's
no,
awesome.
Yeah, no.
And, so they're going to set up outside and help us serve.
Which brewery is that?
Frankenbolts.
I think where they at?
They're
Montgomery.
Okay.
And
All right.
Essentially.
Me and the owner of the brewery up there actually went to high school together.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that is a good story.
The funny thing about it, neither of us knew we owned breweries.
Oh, really?
Until like 4 months ago.
No way. So how did that come
I
about?
didn't know he
What was that
was a brewery,
eureka moment?
He basically, Chuck came out.
Chuck came here.
Okay.
And
Not knowing it was
Hey,
yours?
Not knowing it was mine, and he
And
walked
you-
in, Stephen DeLaw.
Wow.
I went, Chuck, Cole.
That's wild. That's I love
That
that
is crazy.
small world of
But
craft
since,
brewing.
but since then we've been.
But yeah, it sounds like a big party. I'll definitely be trying to stop by and trying to think. I mean, we really had a great conversation here. I feel like we touched a lot. Quentin, behind the camera there, can you think of anything?
go.
Let's go, Quentin.
Anything we
Did
didn't
we
cover
miss
or any
anything?
questions you think I should ask?
You guys covered the little llamas, right?
Oh, yeah, talk about the little.
we
Oh,
don't
that
have
was
the
your
little
little llama idea.
we need to get. We'd have to have a picture of.
I
it.
don't
We
even know if you have
left.
any.
All
No.
right. We can find them after.
Yeah.
What he's referring to is we created some 1-inch little blue llamas.
Uh-huh.
And
3D
we
printed.
made 100 of them. And we gave them out to all of our Llama Legion people. And our Llama Legion have distributed them all over the place.
Wow.
Throughout the
They're-
city, throughout the
city,
country.
throughout the country.
I think
They're-
there's some in
they're-
in South America
yeah,
too.
there's South America, there's some in Europe right now.
Are they? Let me ask you this: are they like? I'm guessing they've sent you pictures. Are they tagging you guys on
They
Instagram
have.
and stuff? Because we definitely want to try to pull some of those pictures and put those in.
Some of the pictures we have received, it didn't. We're going to have to redo it a second time because everything didn't work out exactly how we wanted it to the first time. I mean, it's one of those.
Hey man, anytime you try something new,
Yeah.
marketing-wise,
It's
trust
one
me,
of
we've
those
had
live
plenty
and
of
learn-
experience.
live and learn type
Yeah,
things,
yeah, so it had a
because we
QR
did put
code on it.
QR codes on them, but unfortunately, the stickers didn't stick as well as we hoped they
Like
would.
50% of
So
them started
people are
falling
probably
off.
finding a lot of llamas out there that
And just
that-
wondering what
that
they
don't
are.
know what they are, because if you find one and a QR is still there,
Yeah.
if you scan it, it actually takes you to a hidden page on our website
Oh, okay.
that says,
Gives you the
"Congratulations,
backstory."
you found the llama. Please help get it home." And
That's awesome.
You get a free beer if you bring it back to Mad Llama.
Yeah,
Wait, Quentin, maybe we need to go find some of these llamas.
Yeah, go
get
find
some free
them.
beer.
they might be out
So-
there.
That is really awesome, man. This has been a great story. We'll be hanging out and getting some more footage to kind of
Heck
mix
yeah,
in,
thank
and
you.
like I said, we'll come by for the trivia night.
Let's
And
do it.
again, just thank you guys so much.
No,
for
that
giving
was
us some
We'd
awesome.
love
time.
to,
Super
love to
awesome.
do it
Thanks.
again down the line.
Yeah.
Once
Hey,
more,
yep.
more content that you can think of to ask us about.
Yeah, if you guys ever
Yeah,
have
let's
anything you
go.
want to talk about, you think would be interesting to talk about, always
I don't know
reach
if you ever
out.
wanna do
I'll
like-
be here.
if you
You,
ever
you
wanna
know
do
where to
like a-
find me. I'll be at one of these stools.
You want to do
and
like a brew process, like
We-
kind of
we-
like
we could potentially
overview
do
or
that.
something like
Yeah.
that? Those seem to go over pretty
we'll
good.
nerd out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I also want to. I told Quentin, I want to do this same kind of deal with the distillery that's over here, your
Oh
neighbor.
yeah, nice. Yeah,
I've
go talk to
bought his
Abanac.
stuff
Yeah, yeah.
before. I've tried
Yeah,
his
Kyle over there is
gin
awesome.
or whiskey or both. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I remember stopping in there. Like,
Speaking of Abanac, our gin barrel.
Oh yeah.
aged
Oh, that's a
Propel
collab.
It came from one of the barrels that
From the-
It's one of his
he-
gin
he
barrels,
won a
his
gold
used
medal
gin barrls.
world,
Yeah.
medal on.
oh, so
for,
it's a
for his gin.
that's
So,
that barrel.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
let's go.
That's a cool backstory. Yeah, I've stopped. It was about a year ago. I think I stopped in with one of my sales reps, and it was halfway personal interest, halfway like, hey, you know, is this something you guys need packaging or labeling equipment? And then turns out, no, they didn't need any. They were very manual. But nonetheless, I bought a bottle of gin.
Yeah, get it.
So, you know. Anyway, thanks again, Stephen and Arian, and
right.
we'll
Thank you, sir.
we'll be seeing you soon for a pour.
Rock and roll. Let's do
Alright.
it.